Yo, 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 yo. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So this video is all about volume of a cylinder. Okay. So let's just get straight into it. So key terms here is the formula for volume of a cylinder. Now, if you remember volume from before, to find the volume of anything, or most prisms, is we take the area of the base and we multiply it by the height. Well, for a cylinder, the base is a circle. So we can expand this area of the base part to pi r squared. And we multiply that by the height of the whole prism. So what this means, to find the volume of a cylinder, what we do is we find the area of the circles. That's the base, right? So I want to find the area of whatever the circle is, and then we multiply by the height, which is the distance from one circle to the other circle of the cylinder. So the way I find the area of a circle is the radius is halfway. Ooh, that was not a good line. The radius is halfway across. Okay, so if I know what the radius is, I take that, I square it first, multiply by the height, and then we always like to multiply by pi last, because pi is a decimal, so it makes our life a lot easier if we just save pi for the very, very end. So let me just show you some examples right away. So first here, we want to find the volume of these cylinders. So I have a cylinder. It's giving me the radius of 3 inches, and then the height here is 10 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my formula. So the formula is pi r squared times h, and I'm just going to plug in these values. So I know that's pi times 3 squared times height, which is 10. Now, the biggest thing with this is making sure we do everything in the correct order. First, we have to do our exponent first. That is a requirement. If you do not square the radius first, you will get it incorrect. So the first thing I got to do is 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. So I'm going to change the color here. So I've got pi times 9 times 10. So what I did is I simplified this 3 squared to 9. Now from here, as I mentioned before, we always like to save pi for last. So I can multiply in any order I want. When you multiply, you're allowed to do it in any order that you choose to. So because I just got pi times 9 times 10, I can multiply this 9 times 10 to make that 90. And then I still have this pi. Now the reason why we multiply pi last, there's 2 reasons. One is because pi, 90 pi, this is my answer in terms of pi. Sometimes when you're asked to find the volume of a cylinder, they might say leave your answer in terms of pi. Well, if they ask me that, I would stop here and be done. In terms of pi means we don't actually multiply by pi. And the reason why is whenever we multiply by pi, it's an estimate, because we don't exactly, pi goes on forever. So when we use 3.14 for pi, we're now rounding and estimating the volume. It's no longer exact. So this is an exact volume. As soon as I multiply by 3.14, it's just an approximation. It's just an estimation. So that's why sometimes they want you to leave your answer like this. So if I know volume is 90 times 3 pi, what I can do is I can actually take 90 and I can multiply it by 3.14, because we use 3.14 for pi. So the volume of this particular cylinder is 282.6. Another reason why it's nice to save pi for the end is because now I have a decimal and I don't have to deal with decimal once. I don't have to deal with it throughout. If I multiply by pi first and then multiply by 10, I have to deal with the decimal twice. It's a nice little perk. So yes, we're allowed to use calculators and let them help you, but it's really just plugging in the formula and knowing the order and solving. So for B right here, now the difference with this is the distance all the way across the circle. If we notice, that is not a radius, that is a diameter. So volume is equal to pi times the radius squared times the height. So if I'm given the diameter, I have to divide it by 2 to find the radius, because the radius is always half of the diameter. So if I want to know what the radius is halfway, I got to take this and divide it by 2, which is going to give me 3.2. So this is pi times my radius, which is 3.2 squared, times the height, which is 13. Because the height isn't necessarily the distance up and down, it's the distance from one circle to the other circle. So if this is a cylinder that's just on its side, but the height is still 13, because that's the distance from the 2 circles. Now I just got to use my calculator to solve. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3.2 squared, which is just 3.2 times 3.2. I could have also hit this square button right here. That gives me 10.24. So I'm going to write this down. And when you guys are working on this, this is the work I expect to see. I expect to see you show me what you got for 3.2 squared, which is 10.24. And then now I got to multiply that by 13. Now that I wrote that down, I can multiply by 13. So now my volume is equal to 133.12 times pi. Oops, I didn't need to do the parentheses there. So I did 10.24 times 13. That gave me 133.12 times pi. Now finally I take that value and I can multiply it by pi, 3.14. And that's going to give me my final volume. And then it does tell us that we can round to the nearest tenth. So this is going to be 417.996. So if it's 996, it does say round to the nearest tenth. Well, these are tenths, so this number is going to make this round up. So it's actually going to be 418. Because that's really, really, really close to 18. And so we're just going to stop there. Okay. But you notice how I'm showing my formula all the way through, all the steps. I don't have to see the multiplication because you can use a calculator, but you do have to show all this, otherwise it's no credit. Okay. Now, one thing that I didn't do earlier, and this is bad, shame on Gradius for not doing it, but I'm glad I caught it. Whenever we do volume, it's always our units. So these are inches, but it's cubic units. So it's cubic inches. That's just how we write our units. So for the volume of this one right here, it should have been centimeters cubed. So these would be cubic centimeters for our unit. And we do want to make sure we include those as well. All right. Now, yeah, you'll see some word problems with this. So Big Bertha has a diameter of 8 feet. So keywords there, a diameter of 8 feet. And it is 4.5 feet deep. Okay, so Big Bertha has a diameter of 8 feet and is 4.5 feet deep. So that means I have a cylinder here that has a diameter all the way across of 8 and is 4.5 feet deep. We want to find the volume of the drum to the nearest tenth. So if it has a diameter of 8, that means that the radius is half of that, which is 4. So I should be able to now find the volume of this by using my formula. Go ahead and pause the video and actually try it on your own and see how you do with the calculator. So find the volume, pause the video, try it out, see how you do. Okay. Here's everything plugged into the formula. That's going to be pi times 16 times 4.5. This is where I'm going to start using a calculator. 16 times 4.5 gives me 72. So volume equals 72 times pi. So now I just got to multiply that by pi. Oh, I messed up. So I have 72 times 3.14. There we go. And that's going to give me 226.08. It says around to the nearest tenth. So this 8 right here is going to make this round up. So that's 226.1. And then that was, let's see, feet. So that's cubic feet. So there's my final answer. Okay. Now, sometimes you have to go backwards with these. So here I have the volume of a drum is 144 pi. So we're actually already given the volume, 144 pi. Now notice how they didn't multiply by 3.14 because that makes our life a little bit easier. If the height of the drum is 4, what is the diameter of the drum? So there's the volume. So what I can do is I can set up an equation with the value that I know. I know that height is 4. I know that volume is 144 times pi. Well, what I can do is I can use my initial formula. Okay, so that's 5 times pi my radius squared times 8. And I can plug in the values that I know. I know the volume is 144 pi. I know the height is 4. I have pi right here, and then I still got to figure out my radius squared. Well, here's a nice part about setting it up this way. We want to treat pi kind of like it's a variable. Okay, so what I did is I plugged in what I know for the volume. The volume, I know this. I plugged in what I know for the height, and then I just brought down the values I don't know. But here's what's cool. Because this is being multiplied by pi on both sides, if I were to divide all this by pi, that cancels. But notice how it cancels on this side like a variable? So it cancels out. So really, my quick equation that I'm solving is I have 144 equals r squared times 4. Well, now I'm trying to solve for r, so I can divide everything by 4. So let me use my calculator here to divide this by 4. 36, okay. So I get r squared equals 36. So what I figured out is if I take my radius and I square it, I get 36, because these 4's cancel, right? So if I take my radius and I square it, I get 36. Well, so that means if I'm just finding out what squared equals 36, that means I'm trying to find the square root of 36. So the radius has to be 6, because 6 times 6, 6 squared is 36. So once you find your radius, you know you can double that to figure out the diameter is 12. Because that's what the question asked me for. So the big thing here, plug in the values into the original formula. Get rid of pi right away by dividing by pi, and then just solve by also dividing by the height that you were given. Okay, that's all I got for you guys. Here's what I want you to do for things to remember. Draw a picture of a circle with the word diameter going across the middle. And then draw halfway to the circle, write the word radius. Okay. Also, put a big star. Always square the radius first. We have to do that first. That's a big common mistake. Okay. 2 independent practice problems with the calculator. This should not take too long. Get them both done and show all the steps. If you do not show all the steps for the independent practice and you just write numbers, I will not give you credit, because that just means that you did not do it. So I have to see all the steps. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Good to see you out.